Hey guys, Courtnall Skosan here, and welcome to Skosan Unplugged.
I told her mom that I was soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom. Hop in the car.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast, and I'm your host, Courtnall Skosan. I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for liking, subscribing, and joining me on this journey. Today, I've got a special guest for you guys. He's the only real Lion that actually played for the Lions. I mean, just look at the man. You can see, just by the look of the man, that mane is really been a characteristic that we've known him by, and I'm really excited to introduce him to you guys. But an amazing rugby player, an even better human being. But without stealing too much of his shine, I'm going to let him share his story with you guys today. We're going to dive deep into his mindset, what he's doing currently, and I haven't seen him in a while, so I'm really looking forward to catching up with him. And I think a lot of people will be able to get a lot of value from this. Willie, thank you so much for making the time for this, brother. Welcome to the show.
No, thank you, brother. Appreciate you having me on this, and really looking forward to just sharing my story and just catching up with you. That's I think that's what it's all about. So it's going to be lacquer.
100%. Well, look, I know you in the transition. You're busy moving. I know there's a lot going on, so I just want to say thank you so much for opening up your time. We won't be too long. We'll probably be about 5 or 6 hours. I hope you have some time. Nah, just kidding.
No
It'll be
problem.
about 45 minutes to an hour, but I'm really looking forward to it. I wanted to start off by just asking you how you're doing. Like, I know you're moving at the moment. How's that been going? How's that process? I know it can be, it can be a headache sometimes. Just, how are you doing, brother?
No, doing very well, thank you. I must say, the last couple of years, say the last year, I finished off rugby in 2023. Yeah, last year,
Yes, sir.
in April. So it's been the whole transition of finishing up with rugby. You used to every day, I want to say 8 to 5, but that's pretty much what it was, And people telling you what to do, what's next, what meeting is next, what training is next, what do you have to do in the gym. You get lunch or dinner. So I think just from that part of life, it's been quite an adjustment to just find your own feet. So I came back, pretty much just jumped into stuff. Like relaxed for a bit. Didn't the gym didn't see me for more than a year. I was
Hey,
never the
come on.
biggest gymmer. But just enjoying life. Spend a lot of time with friends, with my mom, family, which is really important to me. And just how it is with rugby. You get 2 or 3 weekends off in a year, and now you want to cram 20 friends into that weekend.
Yes.
So for me, just having the ample amount of time to actually just go play golf with a friend on a Tuesday, was really special for me. And I think best of all, I met my future wife, my fiance.
Hey, hey,
So
congrats on that, brother. I saw
I
that.
must say,
Amazing,
just
man.
yeah, thank you, brother. She's amazing. She's everything I've been waiting for and praying for. And so we're really excited for the future. What God's going to allow for us to happen in the future, and especially now sitting in my first interview in our new home.
Hey, come
Luckily, the
on.
ball's on
Congrats,
patent and
congrats on that
everything
as
in this.
well. Congrats. A lot of
Thank you,
congratulations
brother.
happening, eh?
But it's amazing, I must say, and just the whole process around it, just finding out a bit more about myself, my character, what God installed in my character, that's actually showing now, and especially in tough times, that what God has been doing in your life for so long, building up that character. That in the tough times, that's what shows at the end of the day. So all glory to God for that, just allowing me to be myself, and being an easier version of myself, and trying to be the best version that I can for my fiance and little baby girl on the way. So
Hey, another
I must say it's
congratulations.
really
Yes,
thank you,
they're
thank
flowing,
you.
eh? They're flowing. Wow, awesome, man.
Yeah, they're flowing. Everything's coming in hot.
Yeah, that's beautiful, bro.
So
That's
I must say
beautiful.
it's been lacquer, brother, and I'm really really excited for that. Then job wise, we're still working on a couple of things. The exciting thing is so much to do, and a
Yeah,
lot of stuff to work on, and
yeah.
all the connections we've made throughout the years in rugby that you can actually tap into that network. So it's still a lot of in the starting process. But it's exciting. The future looks bright, and for me, I
Lovely.
don't want to make it too super spiritual, but having God on my side, I know you can conquer anything. He's been true. He's
Amen.
been just real for so long in my life, and everything that I've always preached for other people going through this transition. Now I can just fall back onto that. Easier to preach it than to actually live it. But I must
Amen.
say it's really an exciting time. So yeah, it's good, brother. It's good. Life is good. God is good.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Look, that's amazing. There's so much happening in your life. Look, we're gonna dig into some of the stuff. We're gonna get into all of the stuff and plans and the stuff that you're busy with, what the future looks like. But I wanted to start with a story, and I think it's a good way for us to kick off and talk about the rugby journey. And it's actually one of the first encounters that you and I had. When I made my starting debut against the Blues, you will remember this story like it was yesterday. I mean, I remember coming across the field, Frank Alai breaking on the edge, line break on the edge. I think it was one of those games where it was just edge to edge, coast to coast, and Frank Alai came through. I don't know if people remember him. Tall guy, big boy. I think it was 110 kgs. I've got my measly 90 kgs, but I'm thinking, you know what? I'm quicker than this guy. I'm gonna catch him. I dipped my head getting ready for the tackle. Mans didn't look left or right. He looked me dead in my face. High knee action. Ran through my life. And I remember you came to me, tapped me on my shoulder, picked me up, and you said, "Welcome to Super Rugby, brother." And it's like this thing. It felt like it happened yesterday. You said, "Welcome to Super Rugby, brother. It's either you or him." And this is something that for me, in the beginning it was a massive moment. First of all, it was my first start in Super Rugby. I obviously wanted to, prove myself and show that I'm worthy. But my defense wasn't up to scratch, and it was one of those things that got exposed quite early. And that those days, Super Rugby was one of those competitions. Once they sniff a weakness, they will tap into that thing. So obviously it wasn't my greatest performance of my career, but I learned a lot, and that's just like one of the stories that I can say, like, one of the interactions that we had. We had many of them, but that was one of the first encounters or interactions that we had. We obviously had a bit of a relationship at the time, so it was easy. It was out of love that you said that, and you knew that was what it was at the end of the day. So on that, I just wanted to kind of get into your rugby story, because I know you have a unique rugby story similar to me. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't have any Craven Week accolades, but I'm not going to tell your story. I'm going to let you do that. What was your rugby story like, obviously from the beginning days now, like your journey?
Yeah, definitely. I'll tap into that now. Just for you, kudos on you, just standing up again, brother, and just never letting down. I think that's the thing that I can tell from my experience with you. You'll never settle for anything less than the best. And you worked hard, many hours. I think we did a lot of
Sure.
one-on-one
Sandpit,
work
brother.
as
Sandpit
well.
with
And
JP. Oh my goodness.
sandpit, nobody can get around you in a sandpit. That's tough. I'll still maybe back Chess and Kobe, um, but yeah, that you just put in the work, brother, and you got your Springbok caps for it. So well done on that,
Excellent.
brother. And yeah, Super Rugby was great. I think it's one thing I really miss, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
never played Craven Week. I always played flanker, but then actually my coach at the time, Aubrey Mini, he's coaching at Otaniqua now,
Okay.
and so he actually moved me from flanker to lock in my standard 9 year. And that's already, I played first team in standard 8, and my dad was like furious, like fuming. And you know my dad. And he just said, like, he's wasting my career, and he's doing everything this and that, and he's ruining it. And that year I actually made Kramer Week on lock and matric as well.
Hey, come on now. Come on.
So I must say for that I'm really grateful just to get the opportunity, and we'll speak a bit more about that. But for me, that's the same where I'm at the moment. My heart is to really help kids, especially high school kids that how difficult it is to get a chance in life in
Sure.
rugby, and there's so much talent, so much hard work. But for me, the coaches I've worked with, the Robbie Deans, Tony Brown, Razor Robinson, those type of guys that I've learned a little bit from them. And I just want to give that back to the kids. Like you create a skill set in life, in rugby, life and rugby. And whenever you get the opportunity, you have to be ready to use that skill set. And that's for me where I want to try to implement that with kids these days. So when you get that opportunity, I want you to be better prepared, better equipped to actually make that, or take that opportunity and make it. So, but that for me, that was something that was installed from an early age, and getting that opportunity to play Craven Week. I didn't get a contract after school. I got a little bursary at the Free State to go study, and I wanted to play rugby. My dad told me, "Well, you can play rugby if you study." I'm like, "Well, let's study then." And I finished my degree. I did my BSc Agricultural Economics and Animal Science, and then I did an honors degree in Agricultural Economics. And ever since that, just I'll jump around a little bit, but
No problem.
I had this dream that God gave me when I gave my life to the Lord. Actually, we went to Super Bowl in my first year, and PSPs was a guest speaker at the church. Now, I didn't really care much about church. I just thought like PSPs is a beast, and playing the same position, I might get to shake his hand or meet him or something. And as he just gave his testimony, I just really felt the Lord just working my life and asking me, "Listen, what are you doing with your life?" And I was just like hit really hard. And as we closed our eyes and prayed, God gave me this dream of speaking in front of thousands of people, and they know me through my rugby. Now, at that stage, I didn't have a contract, nothing. I was just playing for the varsity under 19 team. And as the years went by, I had the same dream one night. And so I almost made like a god of rugby, because I'm not getting any contracts, but I have these dreams, and I know I have to make it. And I got my first contract when I was in my third year on varsity, under 21. Bro, I was killing it. I made 1,800 Rand a month for 10 months,
Hey, come on.
living the dream.
Let's go. Hey, that's
And
18,000. That's a lot for a young man.
yeah, brother, you're on varsity third year. I took my room out for movies and pizza. It's all on me, don't worry.
Come on.
And
There we go.
yeah, so I made such a big deal of rugby at that stage where I almost put rugby above God. And I just never made it. I made a Vodacom Cup side, and I made a Super Rugby training side, but just never made that break, And at the stage where I finished off my career, or my studies, I was just like praying to God, like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is it going to be going to work 8 to 5? Got my degree, so why not? And I made the decision to start working. Rugby's not happening for me, and I spoke to my dad about it, and he said, "Well, whatever I decide, he supports me." And literally, as I laid it down at God's feet, I think it was almost 2 months after that, I signed with the Lions. And it was just great for me to know that God's always got to be first in your life. As soon as it's so easy to make a God of something else in life, and if you don't have your priorities straight, what are you actually going to honor God with? God looks at your heart, not at your circumstances or your actions or something like that. So your actions flows out of your heart, and where you stand with God and the fruits of the Spirit. So signed my first deal with the Lions. Met up with you guys in I was there with the Curry Cup 2012. Played a warm-up game. And yes, bro, there was nothing in it. I didn't know what to do. I was running around like a headless chicken. But luckily for me, God's hand was in it. There's a couple of guys who were injured, and I made my first Curry Cup start that year, 2012, and I played the whole season. I actually played lock, and I was on the bench for lock the whole time. Yeah, so the high school days came through for me, and because we had guys like Skosan and yeah, definitely. I think that time, Yakuku was still on the bench with me, if I can remember correctly. Because we had Josh Strauss, Warren Whiteley, Michael Rhodes, Derek Minnie. So they were the starters, and Franco van Merwe, Hendrik Rood. Yeah, those guys were on lock.
Sure.
So for me, a couple of the guys were injured, so I got my opportunity. And ever since that, we just carried on. And you touched on the hair. So we played one game. I always play with a scrum cap with a dot on it. I don't know if you can remember that. But that was a 1 year, my matric year.
I know you like this with your hair.
Yeah. So I'll actually have to send you some photos. But I always played with a green scrum kit at high school. And my dad bought me a black one when I made the matric crayon week side. And my mom just couldn't see me on the field. She always just looked for the green scrum cap. So one day when I got back from school, my scrum cap was on the workbench, and my dad had paint, and he painted white dots all over the scrum cap. So my mom could just easily see me on the field again. So that actually started being a thing. Every scrum cap I got, my dad just painted it, or I painted it myself, and I played with that my first Curry Cup as well. And then one game, Derek Mini said, "Listen, we all losies, so for this game, we strap our heads." I'm like, "Yes, sir." Pretty scared of Derek Mini at that stage, and
Yeah, of
so I
course,
taped
of
my,
course.
so I just taped my ears, and the next morning I was in the back page of the newspaper, and I said the Lion of the Lions, and that's actually where it all started, with the hair and stuff. So something in my personal life why I actually started growing the hair was just not an agreement. You can't really say an agreement, but a commitment I made to the Lord. And this is just one small little thing how he actually used that for his glory, And throughout that, speaking at so many schools, men's days, churches, and stuff like that, where people recognized me through my rugby, and I could stand in front of thousands of people and just glorify God's name. So for me, it's the small things in life that God tested me on when I was younger without rugby and all that he could actually use at the later stage of my life. So yeah, from the Lions, I played 2.5 years with the Lions. Then I went to yeah, and yeah. So then I went to Cheetahs for 2 years after that. I signed my first contract in Japan, 2015. Yeah, then we came back to Super Rugby for the Cheetahs. Went back. Then I played Super Rugby with the Sunwolves for 2 years till 2018. And then I just pretty much stuck with the same side for about 8 seasons in Japan. So yeah, I think it was really a blessed, if I can say blessed time in rugby for me, experiencing that, different cultures, different religions, different people, Played 6 months in America when I ended off just in Houston, Texas. Same thing, I was a little bit over rugby, almost fell into a bit of a depression. We can speak about that a bit later, but I still enjoyed rugby every Saturday, but overseas is just so tough. You get 11 and a half months out of the year, you're just on your own, alone. And then you come back home and you enjoy it and you see your family, your friends, and then you go back. So I was just at a stage where things just wasn't real kosher at the club where I was at. I just asked myself the question, listen, Saturdays are amazing, but if I ask yourself like 2 or 3 times a week, why are you doing this, Something's not right. That's not glorifying God in what you do. Yeah. So I decided to stop. Played my contract out, came back home. As soon as I got back home, I was on my way to fly to America, actually, visit my sister with her little firstborn. My mom was with me.
Oh, nice.
And sitting at the COVID testing lab back in the days, the Heineken Meyer phoned me. He's like, he's starting up a team in America, Texas. He wants me to be a part of it. I'm like, I don't want any like leadership groups and this and that. I just want to enjoy rugby. He's like, no problem. So I went over there for 6 months, and that's part of another testimony where I met people in America. That's my family now. In a short period of space, just amazing people. I could just speak highly of, and through that, they helped me with business in South Africa. So literally for me, quitting rugby, just wanting to enjoy it again. God sent people over my life that helps me for my future again,
Sure.
So yeah, just seeing God's hand in everything and just how he operates is amazing. After that, I went for another 6 months in Japan just to see, like, I was enjoying rugby again, and went over there to a new club in Osaka, and just loved it, But still, the same thing. Towards the end of the season, I was just sitting at my home again, alone, and had a new challenge of a new team, performing again, and all that. But still, like 2 or 3 times a week, you ask yourself, "Why are you doing this?" So for me, at the end of the day, it was just a question of, is it still my passion? You know, is this what God wants for me in my life? Is there a new chapter coming up? And I just decided to call it, you know, came back in April last year, pretty much hung up the boots, tried a bit to play in South Africa again. I contacted a couple of the unions and they were quite keen. I actually wanted to go back to the Lions. And because we had a couple of conversations before that with Cash and Julian and the boys, and everybody quite keen, but just didn't happen, you know. So as business works, but then I was just like, well, I got invited to a tour to Portugal through the SA Rugby Legends, and actually got involved there. So now I'm playing a bit of rugby for them. We off to Bermuda in October again. It's the World Cup of the Legends teams, and so yeah, we'll see end of October how that goes. Hopefully the body holds up, fitness wise as well. But yeah, so I must say I really really enjoyed my time with rugby. It was awesome, and I'll if I have the opportunity to do it again, I will. I would have loved to have my fiance with me there. Would have can't say would have been so much different, but I think just sharing your life, you know, with Simone and the kids there, you know, like you get so much more out of life with your family there, and you can experience it so much differently. But that's how everyone's path is different, and you got to make the best of what you have when you have it. So yeah, that's pretty much rugby in a nutshell for me.
Sure. That's quite a story, and it's interesting now that you're saying like with the kids, like when we went overseas as well, me and my wife, with the kids, it was a lot easier for me, especially that first season, because you know the first season is the toughest thing. You get there, it's new people, new environment. You're using Google Maps to go everywhere. You don't know where to find this, you don't know where to find that, you know. So it's obviously just a little bit easier. You were doing that on your own. I had my wife and my kids, so at least when I come home and I'm like, I don't know anyone, I'm trying to kind of get to know people. I could go home to some familiar faces, and the kids are happy to see me. Wife is happy to see me. So I can imagine that must have been a little bit tough on you. That must have been a little bit tough. I wanted to also on the Japan. You've been in Japan for so long, and I wanted to ask you a little bit into that as well. Like obviously with regards to the culture, you know, your experience of the culture, what that has done for your rugby. Obviously with regards to your playing style. And then the other thing that I also wanted to find out from that is like your life philosophy. Like, so being in Japan, how is that like, how did that shape you? How did that add to your life? You know, what did it change anything? Wherever you've gone, you've been a favorite. So you get to fully embrace and experience the culture and the people, you know, even with leadership, you know, groups. So you were very closely working with the coaches, with the management, with, you know, like the upper office people. How did that change you or shape you?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, brother. It's definitely God's favor on my life, and just a lot of hard work as well. You know, you can't just go sit back and just expect God to do everything for you. But yeah, I think the playing style actually helped me a lot. I've always been the guy. I was never the biggest or the quickest or strongest or whatever. So I had to run good lines and try to evade contact. Getting to Japan, it was actually a little bit easier for me in the contact that first couple of years. For example, we would play a Saturday, play fully 80 minutes. Sunday, I'll sit on the bench for another 40 or so for the B team. And on Monday, I'll do extras. So it wasn't physically that hard at that stage. Now, the last 2-3 years, it was tough. There's a lot of guys getting passports, a lot of island boys from Tonga, and especially the Tongans as well, getting in there. A lot of internationals, you know, the big names, Richie Mohanga, Malcolm Marks, Dwayne Vermeulen, you know, those guys are playing there. So it gets tough, and a lot more foreigners on the field. So your body feels it. But I think I had a great coaching staff, Rob Penny and Reese Edwards, that they actually saw me playing with the Lions that first Super Rugby season. And I played with the Cheetahs the year after that. I got more game time, and they actually enjoyed the way I played. So that helped me to get a contract with them. And Rob Penny is just accolades to him. He's an amazing coach. And the way he works with a person and try to get your skill set developed. The first thing he told me, and if you hear that in South Africa, it won't happen. But he said he wants a number 8 that can a triple threat player. I'm like, what's that? He's like, you got to run, you got to pass, you got to kick. I'm like, run and pass, no problem, but kick. You're a forward in South Africa and you try to kick, you'll get dropped, you know.
Every forward,
So he said, yeah, that's
every forward wants to kick.
definitely. I tried it, trust me. And but yeah, we just never tried it. And then he said, well, you have to be able to execute it in the game. So you would see me with the backs putting little grubbers through, putting little chippies through. There were spaces, you try to go around that. And it didn't really happen as much in the game, but the opportunities that you get, you'll definitely take it because you get developed that skill set that you can actually use on the field. So for me, that was amazing. Uris Edwards, amazing attack coach. We spoke with guys like Ryan Crotty at one stage, and he said he always feared playing against us because he said you'll never know what's coming. You just know you have to be on your game. And for a internationally All Black number 13 for so many years, a legend in his own name, for him to be saying that, I'm like, well, thank you. That we're actually doing something right. But so we had to adapt to whatever gets played in front of you, and they were not like a coaching team that said, I can only speak for my team. I don't know about the other ones, but a lot of the Japanese teams or coaches are very rigid, and you just do this and you stick by the plan, you know. But for us, we had a lot of freedom to play. We had Alton Yankees there. I think he developed his game a lot under Reese, just for you to be able to play what you see. And you have a set move here and you have a general structure there, but if you see space on the blind or space in behind, you take it. And I think that's what made us so dangerous and playing against us. So we never won the tournament or anything, but we always gave it a good go, you know, and always entertaining rugby. And I think for me, on the lifestyle changes in there, it's like you said, it's a very respectable country, a lot of discipline, everything works, everything's on time, everything's safe. People help each other, they've got respect for themselves, for other people. You'll even see like a little 2-ton truck with like it's scratched at the back and everything, but the cables will be folded up nicely, hung on the top. It's neat, you know. So just experiencing that culture and the way the guys worked around the field, working really hard, training really hard. So you have to get that good balance where you got to work hard, but you got to work smart. You know, working harder for longer is not always the best effective option. So for me, that helped me a lot just to focus more on what you need to do your job. And I think in life as well, just being in so many different countries. I think Sunwolves was amazing. We had 3 different countries as a home field, you know, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan. So you'll travel around the globe just for your home game. So that was really fun, but also, you had to learn a lot about different cultures. And for me, being a Christian, being Afrikaans boykie from Kimberley, it's so easy to get stuck in a culture. And I see now where I'm living now in Joburg, in Krugersdorp, you see that a lot. I think we see in Cape Town as well. Culture is a massive thing for South Africans. And if you grow up in a certain type of culture, you tend to stick with it, you know? And for me, probably the greatest thing that could have happened to me was to go overseas, just to broaden my horizon, to have more respect for other cultures. Like I even say for other religions, you know, I can respect the person for who they are. Not that I'm saying I'm respecting their religion at all, but I can have respect for the other person because I can love him differently, you know. So for me, that's been the challenge, getting back home, getting into a normal culture again, and be so culture static, where people, they don't really like to change, you know. If you have your own way, you do your thing for the last 10 years, that's what I'm going to do. And for me, being able to keep on growing, that's what one of my friends in America told me. Like from the first day he met me, you could see like I just want to learn, I want to grow, and I've always had that mindset where, even though I was single for so long, I wanted to grow and be a better version of myself, and a better husband for my wife, and a better father for my kids, you know, without them even being in the picture. And for me, that was so crucial that God installed that in my life, and just to be able to really work on that and spend so much time with God and reading books and speaking to people, learning from other people. Most of my mates were married at that stage already, and seeing what you want in your wife from your friends' wives, and also what you don't want, and their marriages as well. You see what you want in a marriage and what you don't want. And for me, I'm really grateful for, yeah, just meeting my wife a little bit later in life. And I'm not saying you're a bit more sorted out, but you know a bit more in life. You know what you want. You know what's more important. My fiance the other day, like we were speaking, and um, we played some golf, and there was a function afterwards, and probably at like 8:30, 9, I was back home. And she's like, wasn't the function like it? It was, but yeah, after that, the boys just started drinking. I'm like, well, I'd rather sit at home with you. And
100%.
for me, that's what it's about, Like I've got the people in my life that I love, and I want to spend time with them. Like, yes, there's room for spending time with your friends and all that, and I'll enjoy that as well. You play a good round of golf with the boys, but for me, spending time with the people I love, yeah, I don't care what culture says. If you have to go to this place and go drink here and this, that, I'm like, I've never been like that. So for me, it's just now I've got the people in my life that I love and I want to spend time with. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. It's amazing. Look, you obviously qualified. If you qualified in Japan, so you could live there if you wanted to.
Yep.
But obviously, home will always be home. I mean, I was in England. I enjoyed it, but I know home will always be home. I just wanted to make sure on that. You mentioned your faith, and I know from the day that I met you that you've always been a man that was big in your faith, in your Christian faith. I know that's played, and you've touched a little bit on it, about how that has shaped your career and how God has had His hand on you during your whole career. But I think for me, I just wanted to find out: is there maybe a story that you wanted to share, like a testimony that you wanted to share? Of how, in a moment where you saw, literally, physically saw God's hand move, like because you've mentioned this so many times, that God has been in your life, and there's probably 10,000 things that you're thinking at the same time now, but is there something that would
Yeah.
possibly inspire or encourage someone, like going through something where you physically saw God's hand in your life?
I think the one that's done, I'm getting goosebumps in my neck now. We played against I think it was the Cheetahs in Bloemfontein, Super Rugby. I think you were there with us, and guys like Jacques van Rooyen and Julian and them. And I used to always get like, because I didn't have the best tackle technique, I would run with my head first into rucks and stuff. And you use the facilities, you know what you have. And I used to get like a stinger in my neck. So it's like it feels like a bag of coals that's just put on your neck, and it starts like burning, and you just start shaking from pain.
Yeah,
But it only lasts for like 6 to 8 seconds, then it's gone. Then you just carry on and you play again.
sure.
But this time it happened and it didn't go away. Like the pain didn't go away, the burning didn't go away. So coaches took me off, sat there. Doc gave me some pain tablets, and after a couple of minutes, I'm like, Doc, this is not working. He's like, okay, cool. Gave me 2 morphine tablets, and I'm like, okay. But he's like, just chill now. It's gonna. I'm like, sweet. I think it was about 20 minutes left in the game, but I sat there in pain, brother. Like I couldn't do anything. It was just so sore. Then got back into the change room. I'm just like, Doc, can you give me something else, please? He's like, cool. So he injected me with a morphine. He's like, just go sit down, lay down now, relax, because it's going to knock you out. I'm like, sweet. Looking forward to it. Injects me, lay down, bro, nothing happens. Still the pain, everything there. And as I was just lying there, I heard the doctor and the physio started talking. And they're like, listen here, they think my neck's broken. Because something's pinching with a nerve, and probably my neck's probably broken, and we need to go to the hospital now. So they called the ambulance. And yeah, bro, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, damn, what's happening? I started praying, and I just remember the one face, Jacques van Rooyen, coming over me, just putting his hands on me. A couple of the boys as well, just putting their hands on me, and just started praying. Praying for God's healing, praying for His protection. And as that happened, I just felt the pain release. So that the pain's going away. And then they said, well, I still need to go take an X-ray, just make sure of everything. And I just told them, I said, I know my mom and dad standing outside. Last time this happened, I got concussed and I woke up in the hospital. So I told my mom I'll never go off on a stretcher again if it's not needed.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, cool. They're just going to put a neck brace on, make sure they'll carry my bag for me. You just walk straight past everyone, go climb in the ambulance and lay down. I'm like, sweet. Walk there. I'm just like, hey, mom, hey, dad. I'm just going for a quick little X-ray. See you guys there. Got into the ambulance, just started strapping me tightly, head strapped, everything. Bro, just, yeah, God's hand in everything. Got to the X-ray. Nothing wrong. Nothing. They couldn't pick up anything that was wrong with my neck. So for me, yeah, people say, oh, your neck wasn't broken, this and that, just a nerve. I'm like, I hear you, but for me, I choose to see God's hand in it. Yeah, I experienced it, and I could really, I choose to see God's hand in it and His healing power, because after all that medicine that they gave me, I should have been knocked out and sleeping, bro. And I was sitting there in pain, and nothing helped. So yeah, that's just a little one of the little testimonies that's happened through my life. But yeah, just God's hand is amazing, brother, and the power He has. I think we tend to put God in a box sometimes, and if He doesn't work the way we think He should work, He's not working, you know. But that's one thing I learned in life, just to be able to let God be God, you know. We are there to share His love on people, love Him, and God's already there. He'll do His job, you know. We just got to trust Him in it.
100%. Look, it's, for me, I think sharing a little bit on like faith and stuff like that, like how when I went to England, I felt like I kind of had a bit of a disconnection to God. And I felt that it's part of the reason why I'm back in the country. It's not that it was the actual place. It was just me. I went through a lot of stuff. I had a lot of questions, and it was an easy excuse for me because I struggled to find a church. It was an easy excuse for me to kind of like, drift a little bit and kind of have that disconnection. But where it got too much for me was actually literally the first few weeks when I came back to South Africa, and I knew I was now going to be back in the country and all of that. I went to church, had a full-on encounter. Like the pastor was preaching, and when someone's preaching, but it's literally like it's God is speaking to your heart. It's like, you weren't ready for it, but it's just hitting you. Everything he mentioned was listed, boom, spot on. Boom, spot on. I'm like, is this guy talking to me? What's going on? Now this is, mind you, I'm 32 years old. I've had many of these encounters, but still it felt alive. It felt like it was like, I'm like, you know what? Before I knew it, I was in tears. Sorry for the word, as grown man. I was in tears. My wife was confused. She didn't understand what was going on. And it was just everything that had happened from 2019 when I lost my father, right up until all the stuff that we were dealing with in the family, with my mother and all the stuff that was going on. It just, at that moment, felt like it was just too much, and I had to release it and leave it at God's feet. But I didn't know that I needed to do it that urgently and that I needed to do it that intensely, So in that service was like when he called people forward, he said, listen, he just has a feeling that there's people in here, they're carrying a lot and it's just too much. And, God doesn't want us to take care of everything ourselves. He wants us to come to Him so He can carry that burden for us so that we can be light, so that we can be able to be used by Him. And that was, in a nutshell, kind of like what it was all about. But it was about being disconnected and coming back and being connected to God. So everything was just so fitting for me. And I'm like, you know what? I had to be here this morning, in the service at this time. And when I went forward and the pastor laid his hands on me and he started preaching, I just broke down, brother. Like I was full on just weeping in front of God. But felt so light afterwards, and it was like, I'm like, I missed having that connection. I missed having that with God where I can just come to Him. And I actually feel like He's listening. I actually feel like the burden is being lifted, So I didn't have that for quite a while where it becomes, sometimes you find yourself in a phase with God where everything feels like routine. It just feels like, okay, I'm praying I'm saying thank you for this, I'm doing this, but it doesn't feel like you have that. You're not plugged in, like you don't feel like, and I don't know what it is,
that relationship,
obviously on our part, but it's the relationship. It's not there. I'm not spending enough time. I'm not digging in. I'm not because sometimes you have to push through to another level for you to be able to feel that, you know. And I just didn't have that. And that moment was for me like, boom. And I'm telling you, I got into conversations and met people and bumped into, you know, some people, interesting people after that, where I didn't understand it. I'm like, okay, well, I had to go through that thing, because when I bumped into people and they were sharing about what's going on in their lives, people just opened up. Like, they would come to me and just open up, and this guy's going through the worst of the worst, you know, like, I'm like, and I could encourage them and be like, listen, I was there just a few weeks ago. Like, I was there just a few weeks ago. I had an encounter. Now, people, like you said, people will say, yeah, but this, but that. You have to, and this is what I wanted to get to with sharing that, is when you have a relationship with God, it's not about me trying to convince you. I'm not here to try and convince you. God is real. You know, I know that. I've lived it. I know He's real. I don't have to convince you, but you have to have that encounter for yourself. You know, it's a you and God thing. It's not a me. I can lead you there. I can guide you. I can love you. I can, like you said, I can love you. I can help you. I can encourage you. That's what I can do, because we all have different gifts. We all have different ways of doing it. But it's a you and God thing. So, you know, I got into so many conversations where I could encourage people, you know, because now all of a sudden my burden was light. I could open up myself. I was able to share. I was able to, where a few weeks before that, I was dealing with so much, and it was so much for me that I was like, please let me not get this deep. Please let me not get to this conversation. I'm scared I'm going to break down. I'm scared I'm going to crack, and, you know, like, and that. And just to get onto your point of the whole thing of people will maybe say this, or people will maybe say that. We all have little miracles happening in different ways. You had your neck healed. You know, I had my burden lifted, you know. Same God, literally the same God.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing about a testimony is the great thing about a testimony is that it's something that happened already. So it's encouraging for people to hear, because you know it can happen again. Like you said, you had that same opportunity with someone, you had that same experience, and you could share it to someone. And I'm saying this with the most respect that I can, but we have to let God be God, you know, because we tend to limit God in our lives and what He wants to do because of culture. And a lot of culture and influences around you, like your own family, maybe, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing that I had to understand is that you got to let God be God, you know. Whatever He wants to do, you have to be bold enough and have enough faith that you know His character, you know He wants good for you, you know He loves you, He wants the best for you. Like you said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. So lay down your problems at His feet, you know, and everything you say with God's word. I think it's 2 Timothy 3:15-16 or so. I just read it the other day, where it speaks of every word in the Bible is God breathed, you know, so it's from God. So we have to allow God's word to transform us. And that's where relationship comes in, you know. If you have that relationship with God, and that can actually transform your life, and it's got to be, the word's got to be alive in you. And you have to produce your fruits through that, you know, because you can't just read the Bible and, yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't afflict in your life, you know, it doesn't affect your life.
Yeah.
So for me, that's been a challenge. A lot of the years, it's been a challenge. Like you read something, but you, like you said, just don't have that connection to it. And as soon as you see that it's all spirit driven, you can actually like see God working in your life, and not because you want to change for people or this or that. You actually just want to be a better person and you love God because this is God's word and this is what He says you got to do. So because you love Him, so you do it.
100%.
It's easy as that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
No, crazy. Eh? It's yeah. Like faith. Like I think for me, I'm excited to be growing in faith. Like I didn't think when I was 24, and I had this conversation with who did I have this conversation with? I had this conversation with Combring the other day. I think we were chatting on the phone, and I said I think it was Madosh, and I had a conversation with him, and I said I thought I had myself figured out when I was 24, and I knew my purpose and everything. But you know, you evolve, you know, and you grow in life. So we can't expect the same faith that I had when I gave my heart to the Lord when I was 19. Is the same, it's not the same as required now, you know, it changes as time goes, you know. So I'm excited for me, myself now in my journey where I am with God, as I want to grow, I want to be closer, I want to see miracles happen in front of my eyes, I want to see, you know, I want to, in the sense of like when we used to do a home cell with the juniors at the Lions, I used to facilitate, and guys would come in despondent and, just down and all of that, and ask the guy like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, hey, my mother is in hospital, they don't have answers, she's sick, they're saying that there's nothing they can do for her. I'm like, well, God says where two men shall agree on anything on this earth, it shall be done. I'm like, well, let's come in agreement that your mother would be healed and the doctors would find solutions. And we prayed, and it wasn't like you're in tongues and all of that kind of stuff. We just prayed and came in agreement. Oh, wow, a week later, you see the guy smiling and he's happy and he's cheerful, and you're like, hey, dude, like, what's going on? Like, I talked to your mother. He's like, hey, my mother's at home. They couldn't find anything. The scans were all clear. They had no answers.
Praise
Like,
God.
they also couldn't believe it. And you're like, this is God. Like, I'm like, hey, now you can.
You prayed for it, so you got to believe it.
Can you see? I'm like, you pray. I'm saying that's your faith. Because if only I believed, it's not that's not how it works. It's like I believed because I understand God's word, but we agreed on it, like we came together and we agreed, and that is what God did, like, and I'm like, and for me, those little things are things that I live for when it comes to that, and that's why I have a heart for young people. I want to journey with young men because we all need that, we were so blessed when we were at the Lions. I was talking to, was it Yaku that I talked to as well? I said, we were so blessed when we were at the Lions. We had a very special group of people that came together, under the hand of Johan Ackerman, that God also gave a vision, and we all came together and grew in our relationship with God, and we went out into the world. So he did his purpose for that time, and we went into the world, and now we are able to, share, and we are able to impact and influence people wherever we go. And it just shows you how good God is and how he works, it's like it automatically just happens. Now that I'm sitting here, I'm actually thinking of this just now. This is not in my notes. I didn't prepare this. This is literally off the cuff. This is how God works, and this is what I enjoy so much when it comes to walking with God and having that journey, it's just,
That's where
I'm
he just keeps on equipping
otherwise
people.
I'm just going to continue.
Yeah. No, I just want to tell one story, that always reminds me of this one story where everyone gathered for praying for rain, and they set up this whole meeting. Everyone rocked up and all this, and one little boy came with an umbrella, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, we're gonna pray for rain, aren't we? So I'm just gonna use my umbrella when it starts raining." And that thing hit me so hard. Like I said, it's so easy to fall into a culture of where, yes, we pray for God and we believe for it, but your actions doesn't show it. And I know it's easier said than done. There's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot of sin that influences people and affects people's lives. And then, like I said, heartbreak, and that's not from the Lord. The Lord, he just wants good for us. But unfortunately, sin is real, and people have their own free will to make choices in life, and those choices affects people and affects other people's futures. So unfortunately, there is that factor around it, but we need to be able to get into a place where we really trust God, and in our action, in our words, you either speak life or death. There's no in between, So making jokes about something or this or that, and it's a human thing to do, but if you look deeply into it, you speak life or death. So just to be in a place where you actually pray for someone, like you said, you and the kid prayed for his mom to be healed, and he believed it. And I'm not saying that every time you pray, someone's going to get healed. But why not? If God wants it to happen, it happens. And if that's not the case, that person is not going to get healed, there's other testimony or something that God will let happen out of it. So he makes everything work together for those who love him. Yeah.
100%. And it's all about peace. It's all about peace at the end of the day. And I think that's what I learned, with my father's passing. As I learned that I prayed, he needed to be healed. God, heal him, help him. Why? You've done this for so many people. Why can't you do it for my father? And it's part of the reason why I had so many questions at that time, just after his passing. But I'm like, I've prayed for people before and they got healed. I'm like, I prayed with people and agreed with people and they got healed. And what I got through that and understood through that was sometimes you just got to have peace in the fact that was already laid out. That was the plan, and you just understand that the person is in a good place, because our relationship was at an amazing place. We said I love you every single time when we finished the phone call. We talked to each other on a regular basis. I saw him more than I saw him ever in that year before he passed on. We were in Cape Town for 4 times. I didn't understand why I was off so much to be able to come to Cape Town, but God knew. Like everything was already scripted, everything was already out there, and I know you obviously have a testimony with regards to that as well. And I actually just wanted to share or ask you a question on that. Like, I know so I mourned for very long. Like, I couldn't talk about it. For almost 2.5 years, there were people that bumped into me and would ask me like, "Hey, how's your dad doing?" Like, and I'm like, dude, like, no, he passed on. They're like, "No, when did this happen?" And I'm like, 2019. They're like, "It's 2021 now, dude. Why didn't you say anything?" I'm like, I don't even want to talk about this at the moment. Like, so how do you deal with setbacks? Thinking on that now, and you've also dealt with like heavy stuff in your life. How do you deal as Willie, with setbacks?
I think for me, I lost my dad in 2017, and the same thing. Played first season for Super Rugby for Sunwolves, and we had 3 tours to South Africa, and
See,
in that the year before that, my dad and mom visited me for about 3 weeks in Japan, 3 weeks to a month, and I saw them more there than I did the whole time playing in South Africa, So me and my dad could just wake up, drink a cup of coffee, jump on a bike, go for a bike ride. I'll go train. He sits watching us train, that type of stuff. So, that's such a good relationship. And same, like, that's when emojis just got out on WhatsApp. So we'll finish a chat on WhatsApp and it'll just like be a string of emojis, like all little rugby balls and this and that. And that was just my dad, and we had such a good time together. But for me, I think I mourned a little bit later. Because after the funeral, I think it was 2 days after the funeral, I jumped back on a plane, went back to Japan, go play Super Rugby again. I met up with a team in New Zealand. So there weren't time for me to sit and really deal with it, because I know my dad would have wanted me to sit around the house and cry the whole time. But that is needed as well. Like, you have to get that emotions out and you have to deal with your emotions. And for me, I think it only hit me probably 2 years after that, just before COVID. I think the 2019 World Cup, just after that. And that's when it actually hit me. I'm like, wow. For the last 2 years, you've just been going on, living like a quick life of rugby, but you never dealt with the dad passing away, and that hit me hard. I even got like a lot more emotional about stuff. I'll watch a story on TV and I'll almost start crying. I'll like tear up and like, oh. It gets me, brother. Like, even just showing compassion with someone, I'll be like trying to say something nice, but I'm trying to fight back the tears, So I think that's one thing that God really came to show me, and then that's also, I think it's Galatians where you get fruits of the Spirit as well. Like, compassion is one of them, to love on people. And for me, that just opened up my heart totally. But setbacks is a difficult thing, brother. I think through the stages of life that you actually go through, you deal with it differently. I think now for me in my personal life, there's a lot of stuff going on that I don't know the answers for. I know I need to put it at God's feet, but sometimes you feel so like there's no power from your own side. Everything you try to do, you try to fix, it just doesn't work, So that's where my faith gets tested again. Like, actually just saying, well, God, I'm praying about this every day and I just trust you. You've been coming through for so many years for me. You've never let me down. I can just trust in your timing. And like you said, the faith to be able to say that whatever God's going to bring over your life, that you're going to be okay. And I think for me with that, it doesn't matter what happened in life, what parts of life you're from, or what career you're in, or whatever. A setback is just I want to say something cool now, like a setup for a comeback, or I don't know, something like that, But for me, it's actually just a setback. It's just, a setback is literally just there where you can actually just trust God. Like, I was at a stage in my life where I didn't even really want to pray, not in a bad way, but I just trusted God so much to know that whatever's going to happen in my life, I know He's going to make everything work together for those who love Him. And I'm like, well, I don't really need to pray for stuff then, because I know what's going to happen is going to be the best for me,
So, we're going to go a little bit lighter now, a little bit more future bound, talking about what Willie's going to do in the future, because I actually want to get to wrapping up. We're already almost at an hour. People's snacks are now getting lesser and lesser and lesser. I don't want them to stand up and get distracted. But, I wanted to say from my side, congratulations on finding your wife. It's been a long time coming. Tell us a little bit about her, like how did you guys meet? Or you can even just tell us the story of how you proposed to her, if there was something special that happened that day, of course, as well. Just share a little bit about her, man. Give her some shine as well.
Yeah, brother. She's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. She's really. She wouldn't say that. Like she hates. Not say hates. Hates a strong word, but she doesn't like it when people say she's pretty. Because there's so much more to her than just a pretty face. And she's very, very intelligent, very strong personality. She's gonna be an amazing mother. Small little thing she likes. Also likes a neat house. That type of thing. She dresses so well. She looks so elegant. And yeah, brother, it's just. Afrikaans saying, ek het my gat in die botter geval, so, but, yeah, brother, we met one day, me and a mate, we were on our way to go play golf for his girlfriend's sister's birthday, and he said, he's just got to phone a friend quickly, just say congratulations with her birthday, and you know me, I chipped in from the side and say, hey, happy birthday, this and that, and I asked him, listen, yeah, so who do we speak to now? He's like, no, show me a picture as one of his friends. He showed me a picture, bro. I almost rolled the bucky trying to grab the phone. I'm just like, I'm just swiping, bro, like looking at the pictures, and she's so pretty. I'm like, give me a number, He's like, no, he's not going to do it. So we laughed about it and got to the golf course. I'm like, listen here, bro. I think it was like on the second tee or something. I'm like, my bro, give me the number. I want to miss. He's like, no, he's not going to give it to me. I'm like, okay. He's like, no, that's his backup plan when him and his missus breaks up. I'm like, okay. I hear you. But luckily I remembered her surname because I met her brother actually like 10 years ago. And he was with little Jocko van der Walt because they also got a little place next to the Val Dam where my mom and dad stays. And one night we went out to a pub and Jocko was there with her brother Sheldon. And then about 2-3 weeks before I met Bianca, I was sitting at a restaurant with my mate and Sheldon popped in again. And he said, like, we actually met 10 years ago. So we chatted a bit, everything. And then 2-3 weeks after that, I met his sister, And so I remember the name. I remember his surname, Instagram, DM. And luckily she replied.
Hey, the new age.
Yeah, and we've been chatting ever since. Yeah, bro, it works. But yeah, we've been chatting ever since, every day since then when we met. And we went for our first coffee that next Saturday, I think. And same mate had his birthday party on Friday. And he's like, well, I'm invited. I'm like, is she invited? He's like, he'll invite her. I'm like, you better. So I met her for the first time in person there at the party, but she was sitting across the room with one of her friend's babies, and I didn't want to make it awkward, like go sit next to her, like and chat, because I just want to chat with her. And so I tried to play it cool, chat with everyone, chatted with her a little bit, and move on because we already had our coffee date the next day. Anyway, the next day I went to pick her up around 10, 11, went for a coffee. Coffee turned into gin turned into pizza. I think we left at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We literally just chatted and connected. And she took me back home to her mom, some of her mom's friends and stuff. They had a braai on, so I met the family there the first day. Yeah, just everything was just so perfect. I was late for my own braai with my uncle. Yeah, bro. Just... But yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way, brother. So it was just such a awesome first date, and ever since then we just clicked, bro. So that's when people always ask me like, when do I know if it's the right person or not? And then one of my friends told me like, if you ask that question, it's probably not the right person.
Exactly.
So for me, just like just like something in your heart,
100%.
So yeah, that was back last year, 16th of September is the first time we spoke, and
Sure.
yeah, that's now we're here.
Special, man. That's crazy, brother. That's crazy. I'm really happy for you
Yeah,
because I can see that she lights you up, and I can, I wish you guys
yeah.
just all the success, all the love, and may you guys stay together for the next 70 years. I've got this thing where I always tell Simone, 70 plus years. After 70 years, you can decide if you want to leave me, but you
Mm.
stuck with me for 70 plus years. So we've got another
At least
65 years to
70. Let's
go.
go.
We've got another 65 years to go. So I think when we turn 90, then she can make a decision. So no,
Yeah, that's good,
congratulations
bro.
all the
That's
best.
good. I got another 70. I'll be 96. Brother, I really appreciate it, man.
No,
Actually,
no, no.
106. Quick math. Sorry.
Yeah, 106, brother, 106. Look, Willie, we'll get into some of the
Uh,
stuff, like that you're busy with at the moment. Your plans, because I mean you're now done with rugby, and I used to always do this thing where
mm,
I sat with Pierre Spies a few years ago. I think I was 26 or 27, and I sat with Pierre Spies when he retired, and it's always been a thing for me where I've always been interested and just finding out like how you made the decision. You obviously explained that earlier, but also then what it is that you're going to do
mm,
now, because you hear so many horror stories, players finishing up with their careers and just, fizzling out, their whole lives are falling apart. And, like there's so many horror, like bad, sad stories that are going on out there, but we don't get to catch up with the guys that have played, that has retired or in the transition of
mm,
retiring, and ask them like what they're busy with, like we don't know who's watching this, like it could just be the right connection and the right, thing for you with whatever you're busy with, like for people to
mm,
join the vision or just get behind it and support whatever it is that you want to do. I'm not saying that you don't have anything planned. I
mm,
know for a fact that you one of the guys that I know, the whole world. So, I know you, but I want to give you an opportunity to tell us what is Willie Britz going to do now? What is his life now? When you're done now, the dust is settled, you've
mm.
retired, you understand exactly what it is. Or I don't know if you understand exactly, but I don't want to take your shine. Tell us what it is that you're busy with.
Yeah.
What's the future holding for you?
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I think like I touched on earlier about the coaching,
Mm.
that's really been something on my heart, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the sad thing around it. Like as soon as you try to connect to a school or something, they just see money at the end of it,
Yeah.
and not what they're gonna make out of it, what they have to pay for you. I'm like,
Yes, sir.
ever since I wanted to come back to the Lions, I was like, it wasn't about the money for me. It was never about the money for me. Like I've got this vision. I want to help kids. I want to help kids build a better future. So I don't want to be a head coach somewhere and take someone's position.
Same.
Let me come in and help. I'll do the lineouts, I'll do breakdown, but let me work with the kids. And not just on a physical aspect, on the skill set and stuff, but actually on a mental aspect as well. Because the mental, bro, I spoke to a guy the other day. He said at the under 13 Craven week, he's sitting with parents on deciding where they should go because most of the parents of kids they just feel entitled, like my kid's going to be the next best thing. I'm like, I want to say
Exactly.
80% of you kids are probably not even going to play rugby anymore,
Exactly.
You'll might enjoy golf or hockey. So kids got to be kids. That's the other thing. But as soon as you see talent, that's something you want to work with, by all means do it. But be a kid, live life, just live it.
Yeah.
And for me, that's why I want to get into to kids' heads, and help them. If they say, okay, rugby is my everything, I'm like, let's work on it then. But so that's one aspect, but just like getting the right opportunity is difficult. So for me, I'm still praying for that and seeing where you can get the right opportunity, where God allows you to go.
Yeah.
And then on the agricultural side, same with the Americans I met, I was just like fully forced into it, like getting everything set up, getting samples set up, getting everything ready. And this has been like, I think last year, June, we've been ready. Still waiting on funding, brother. So we're
It's
still
coming.
waiting on
It's
funding from
coming.
America, and
It's coming.
still, yeah, it's coming, definitely coming. I'll tell you, amen. So that's the one part of it we're waiting on funding for. The other thing is we got a couple of local products, agricultural products like foliar feed and pre-seed feeding and all that. Um, so what we're also busy with at the moment, myself and my partner down in George. And so that's quite exciting. Just waiting for final registration on that product as well. I think it's really going to be something that the market doesn't have it yet, So there's been a lot of inquiry about it. So we're really positive for that. And then the other ones, I started with Ross and Guy Cronier on 910 Properties. So we do brokerage of properties, everything from capital markets, retail, logistical warehousing, just warehousing. We've got a fund that does schooling, like on the social development side, schools, hospitals, where they've got a lot of money they have to invest, and we get opportunity to buy out the school, revamp it. They get their money back in 7 years' time when they get out of it, or they'll develop hospitals or clinics. So that's a lot of the network that we've tapped into at the moment. And even like big farms, like massive fruit farms or something like that, we're on the brokerage side of it. So we get the guys who wants to buy, who wants to sell. Even like you guys in Cape Town, those massive 100 mil properties, like a house there in Clifton. We've got connections with that as well. Like there's a lot of Americans that wants to buy in a little holiday home for them. So that's an exciting part. Like the same you said with the connections you've made throughout the network you've made. Just tapping into that. Not as easy as I thought it would be on all aspects of business. I've got the entrepreneurial side of me that I really try to evolve and grow. So that's where a lot of my investments are. But on the actual day-to-day 8 to 5 job, I'm jumping between a couple of different things and trying to get stuff set up, keep the connections hot, and still until you get your funding. The latest thing we've been working on is agricultural, like using drones for spraying, and not just for spraying crops, but disease plants and stuff that you can actually spray in mountains. You can do game counting. You can do mapping of areas. So there's a whole lot of different stuff you can actually do. Thermal imaging on plants, see where there's maybe more heat in certain areas of the field. You can actually see where there's diseases, and you can't just see it in the open. So you can be more effective in the way you spray. You don't have to spray the whole land. There's maybe just 10 meters by 10 meters that you can actually spray and cover it. So we're trying to get that technology to evolve around making life easier for farmers, so for them to save money. In that, I actually did my AFCASA degree. That's the chemical side of agriculture. So I can actually sell and give advice to farmers around the chemical side of things, So just trying to equip my own skill set, same I want to do with kids, so I can't preach it, I don't live it, So, but yeah, I'm excited, brother. I must say that it's really, like I said, my future's in God's hands. I can do the work, I can grind as hard as I want to, but God's going to allow what needs to be done. So,
100%.
yeah, it's an exciting time for me.
Definitely, yes, that's amazing. That's a mouthful. That's really a mouthful. But if people want to get a hold of you, if people want to see, is there any social media handles? Is there any places, websites that they can go to? Like you can obviously send me that stuff, and I can obviously put it in the description as well for the video. If there's any websites,
Yeah, that'll be awesome, bro.
medias
Yeah.
or any of that kind of stuff, then we can link it at the bottom, and people can go and check what you guys have developed already. Or if you're in the planning phase, they can, they can go and see how far you are in the planning phase already. But this it's crazy. That for me is exciting. That sounds like a lot of it sounds like a lot. It's a lot going on, but I'm excited to see how they all develop and come to fruition. And I know it's going to go well because you've built all that success in rugby, and people I don't know. I've spoken to a few people, and you can maybe touch on this, but I know that there's a lot of translation from what we learn in rugby, that we can go and take into the business world. And I've recently started speaking to people and asking people for mentorship and kind of trying to expand my network and build, because I haven't been in Cape Town for like 13 years. So me coming to Cape Town, I feel like I'm a newbie. I'm starting from scratch. But I've seen how people are willing to help and teach you if you open yourself up to it and you're humble enough to go and say, listen, I don't know everything. Is there a possibility of me learning from you? I've seen that, but how do you feel, like, just quickly, maybe if you can share like how your rugby skills or stuff that you've learned in the game is translating into the business world and, all the stuff that you're busy with at the moment?
I think it's actually a quick answer for me, brother. And it's always that the cliche answer, be humble, but you need to be humble, in success, in failure. You need to be humble, and you need to want to learn. You need to want to grow. Because if you can go into, like I say, you never want to be the smartest person in a room.
Exactly.
So that's been my philosophy. So especially on business front as well, and with faith, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. Then I'm not gonna grow. I'm not gonna learn stuff.
Yeah.
So from rugby, that was the same for me. I always wanted to be with a superstar, the next best thing. I'll tap into their brains, like a guy like Malcolm. He's probably the most humble guy I know. And for him to be the world's best hooker, he's just a beast. And how he trains. I was privileged to play a couple of years with him at the Lions, and then in Japan again with the same club. And just to learn like his commitment, how hard he works, a lot of fitness he does. He's flipping quick for a big guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%.
So he just works really hard, and he's so humble. And whenever someone tells him something, he'll acknowledge it, and he'll go see if he can actually learn something from it. And I think that's why his success. He's not even 30 at the moment, but he's so successful in rugby so far. And I think he's going to be for the next probably 2 World Cups, if not more. So that's something you can take from just being able to learn, being able to grow. Because I think as soon as you get to a place where you're stagnant and you don't want to grow because you know everything, I'm like, that's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
So so that was for me at rugby. I was like that at a stage at rugby. Like you played for the same club for so many years, and now it sounds windgat when you say it, but you know more than some of the coaches that coach you.
Yeah.
So now to stay humble and to still try to learn from them, you can always learn something. You can always learn something. There's always something more to learn. So just to stay humble and be willing to learn, I think that's a big thing for me in life and business as well.
Sure. Powerful. Look, I want to wrap up. We've got a few. I've got this thing that I started doing. I ask people on Instagram, in my Instagram community, because the whole community thing for me is what I want to build around that. That'll be like the VIPs, the VIP people, the people that are the staunch like supporters of what I'm busy building, and I've asked them for a few questions, and I want to answer some of those questions. But before I do that, I asked Jaco this as well. Is there any advice that you have for players that are watching or kids that are thinking about going professional on how you can manage yourself financially as well, about, more towards the planning side of planning and being prepared for life after rugby, is there anything that you think they should be focused on, stuff that you've maybe implemented in your career, like Jaco Kriel shared about saving 50% of his salary and living under his means, like for most of his career, like stuff like that. Like, so that's an example of one of the stuff that he shared, like, is there anything that you would like to share with people that are currently playing or maybe in the phase of busy retiring, so they're transitioning, like just, whatever comes to mind.
I think for me, don't try to do too much at one stage, like everything all at once. I tried to dab in all different sectors of business when I was in Japan, where looking at hindsight now, I would rather just have saved more of the money before investing in it on all different areas. So far from your goods, close to your what's Skada, what you say. So that was one thing I learned on a hard way, lost a lot of money there. If it's too good to be true, it probably is, type of thing. There's a lot of stuff I've invested into. Well, you made a lot of money, but it wasn't sustainable, There's a couple of good investments that I do at the moment with a couple of companies that's not NCR regulated or something like that. So for me, the struggle was I couldn't afford a house. I could pay the bond back 5-6 times every month, but because it's not invested at a regulated company, the banks don't see it as money, So making sure that you have a certain type of investment that can help you for after rugby as well. But still, if you can get 20% growth on an investment, it's pretty good. And there are places like that. I spoke to a guy today where you can guarantee about 14% growth because his fees and all the brokerage fees and the platform fees and everything is so little, where some of the big firms take 2 to 3% of your growth as their fees. So you need to do a bit of research on. For me, like, there's 10% growth. Oh, that's great. That's what I want to see. But now, a bit older and looking at things, actually see what the brokerage fee is, what's the platform fee, what's your this fees. There's all fees, hidden fees that actually accumulate to 2 or 3%. That's 2 or 3% you can actually put on your growth. Then you start growing more. Compound interest, it's amazing. If you can get the right platform to do compound interest investments, start early. Start early. That's the thing. Don't wait till you're 30 and now you want to work on your retirement. Start early and do that thing. And I think there's a lot of people that really wants to help. Just be careful who you trust. Don't just trust anyone. If you can, get a good referral of someone you know that you're close with, and have walked through that road. Because I've also had referrals of people, and well, was a bit of a tough one. But yeah, I think it's a interesting one. But yeah, I think try to get out of your culture, your mindset. You know, you have to think a bit differently. One of my mates, we actually spoke the other day, and we're trying to create a platform for young players. And we're not going to be able to help all 100 of players or whatever. But if you can help 5 to 10 players to invest into a certain structure, that I'm not going to run away. So if someone sees me on the street, they'll find me. You know, I can't go. I can't go hide in Cape Town or something like that. You know, and that sounds motivated. Sorry, but I don't want to steal people's money. Like, my heart is, because I've seen, like you said, there's so many horror stories out there that people get robbed from their money, from their life earnings in rugby, but they don't have a means of applying it somewhere, you know. So for us to try to generate or create that structure for young players to invest for 5 to 10 years, and then after rugby they just withdraw from that investment, and you've got a big lump sum of 2 or 3 million rand, maybe more, that you've accumulated over 10 years, and I can actually put a deposit on a house or start a business or something like that, where if you put your money in my players fund, all respect for that, but you don't normally get the growth that you need, you know, and everyone's happy around you, but you don't get what you're worth, you know. So yeah, it's a lot said, but I think just be careful for who you actually trust. Yeah, you work very hard for your money. You must be able to enjoy it as well. But I think, like Jaco said, you live under your means. There's no need to drive a SLK Mercedes when you're 23. You know, get a car that gets you from A to B. If that's your thing and that's your status thing, by all means enjoy it. But for you, who do you do it for? Like, hopefully you play for the next 10 years and you do great. You do the next best thing. But if you're not, just be smart. You know. Rather save and retire now, or save and invest now, and when you're done with rugby, then you buy a nice car, buy your cruiser or whatever you want. But just make sure that you're financially stable to be able to do that.
Yeah. Facts. I like that. So I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna choose 1 or 2 questions, you know, and then I'll give them a bit of shine here as well. I'll give their handle, and then I'll give the question, and then you can maybe just answer it best where you feel fit. So at cricket_link, ask the question: what is the difference in approach being the best and being your best?
I think if I could make that personal for me, I never stressed before a rugby game. Ever since I started my first year, yes, I did with the Lions, but after that, I never started to stress. For me, I was just calm in my ability. So I do want to do my best, because for me, it was a big thing. It's a team sport, so I don't want to drop my teammates. So how do you do that during the week? Monday, you pitch up with the right attitude, you learn. You learn your role, you know what you have to do. Make sure that whatever call gets made on the field, you know it 100% by heart. And then you have the skill set. You do your gym work, you do your speed work, everything. So you know you're at your best physically. If you have an injury, you see the physio extra, you see the massage therapist extra, to be physically at your best and mentally at your best, knowing the game plan. Then I just went in with confidence, you know, because I know I'm prepared well, my body's well. So why can't I play a good game? Then obviously you have your mental side of the game as well. You know, there's a lot that happens in the game, that the ball doesn't come your way or this or that. But the game has evolved so much that you just go look for work, you know. And as soon as you can get your hands on the ball and do your thing, it works. So for me, it's literally just your preparation during the week for say, a game. To be at your best, that's your preparation, and to be the best. I think it goes very closely with to be at your best and to be the best, because it's a mindset thing, and you have to be on both parts of it. Your mind and your body's got to be prepared well enough for you to give that performance.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And then at Ferdi Niemand, so at Ferdi Niemand asked, what would your advice be for the schoolboy rugby player about professional rugby, knowing what you know today?
Well, that's a difficult one. I don't want to be a doomsayer or say nobody should do
Whatever
it or
comes to
anything,
mind,
but
whatever comes
because
to
it was
mind.
the
This
best
is
time of
you
my life.
explaining.
Yeah, like I said, it was, yeah, it was the best time of my life, and I really praise God for the opportunity to do it. But the thing that's creeping in schoolboy rugby is that, and it's two sides of it. Everyone believes that they're going to be the next best thing, you know? And if that's what you believe and that's what you work for, by all means do it. Don't. I had a little paper, a written thing on a piece of paper in my wallet for so many years that stated, nothing is impossible until you decide to stop trying. And that carried me a long way, you know, because I've had a lot of naysayers over my career that said I'm not going to make it and all that. So,
Yes, sir.
in saying that, if you look at the last 10 years of Springbok, or say scrum offs that play Craven Week, the SA schools, your SAB team, and your academy team, there's three of the best scrum offs in the country. Over 10 years, that's 30 scrum offs. Didn't make it because Farida Priya was the scrum off of the Springboks. You know? So that's a very, very low percentage of score that actually made it. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to be a doomsayer, but what I want to say is prepare for life after rugby as well.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for my dad who said, go study. If you want to play rugby, study. And that's what I did. I went to study. I got a degree. I'm not saying a degree is everything after rugby. I'm sitting here. I'm not doing my degree. I don't get a job out of it. But just go equip yourself with skills to not make rugby your sole focus. And if you make it, by all means, enjoy it. Like, work your butt off to be able to be the best rugby player, the next best thing. But just be mindful and open to doing something else alongside to equip you in life after rugby as well. Because the sooner you start, the easier it gets after rugby.
Awesome. Willie, we're almost at an hour and a half. I think this is going to be the longest episode so far. I think the one before this was the one with my daughter.
My bad.
Just hour and a half. No. This is amazing. It's amazing. You know, like if people got to this part of well, actually, I want to ask the question. If you got to this part of the conversation, write down in the comments, I'm here for it. If you write down in the comments, I'm here for it, I will know that you guys got to this part of the interview. But yeah, Willie, you know what? I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for making the time. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is something that I'm trying to build and trying to, you know, get into people's faces. You know, I want these conversations. You know, I want people to watch this and learn and take something from it. There's a lot in here. There's a lot for everyone. If you're a 15-year-old or 14-year-old with a big dream to become a professional rugby player, if you're a businessman and you're looking for new ventures to fund or get involved with, you know, like this is literally, that's how far this spans to who could be watching this, you know. So I just want to say thank you so much for making this possible. Thank you for being a part of this journey. This will be episode number 4, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we've got a lot more coming, but I'm really excited for what we're gonna do. But thank you so much to you for opening yourself up and having the time to do this. I really appreciate you, and to hear what you're busy with, to catch up with you as well, to hear your story again, just reminds me again of how good God is and how good He's been to you, you know, and how privileged I am to have built a relationship and to know you as a person. It's just it's a blessing. It's a blessing. So thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you, man.
No, thank you, brother. We appreciate the kind words, and yeah, like I said, glory to God for that. Just to my whole story, to be able to share my story on a platform as well. And all the best for you, brother. I know it's going to be amazing. May God really just bless you with this and bless the people who listens to it. I think that's the main thing. I think that's your heart as well, to be able to help people and just encourage people in their walks of life. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, that you know that there's hope. There's definitely hope. There's definitely a chance in life. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I'm episode number 4. Like number 4 in the program is number 1 in your heart. So,
hey, come on.
but
Awesome. I love it.
But no, I really appreciate it, brother. Thanks for your time and having me on the show. It's a massive privilege for me. We've been walking the road together for a long time, and I'm really grateful for having this opportunity and you thinking of me for it. And yeah, all the best, brother. I know this is gonna be a great success.
Thanks so much, brother. Thank you.
Grown. I told her mom that I blow